Welcome to Boxing Predictions. Today we're talking about the heavyweight clash between Luis Ortiz and Christian Hammer, and why I believe that Luis Ortiz is still in the mix for heavyweight gold, but only just. So I'd like to invite you to let me know what you think about this fight and the fighters involved. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know. Also, please consider hitting the subscribe button to the channel. I really do appreciate it. So this fight takes place on the 2nd of March 2019 in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. There's no title on the line and it's only a 10-rounder. Some people will tell you, and they will tell me, that this is a complete mismatch. It's a pointless fight. But for me it is interesting because Ortiz is a legitimate title contender. And it gives us the opportunity to consider title contention generally within the heavyweight division. So let's talk about the heavyweight picture, talk about who's at the top, the potential fights that could happen, and the current rankings. So we know that we've got Anthony Joshua, who's got 3 of the belts, and we've got Deontay Wilder, who's got the WBC strap. Okay, so talking about the WBC, we've got Dillian Whyte, we've got Tyson Fury, we've got Luis Ortiz, we've got Dominic Breazeale, and we've got Kalnacki as the top 5 ranked fighters in the heavyweight division for the WBC belt. So we know that Tyson Fury, ranked number 2, is most likely going to get a rematch against Deontay Wilder at some point this year. We know that Dillian Whyte and Dominic Breazeale possibly are going to be fighting out to get a mandatory position. So that could be 2 WBC fights for this year. So it's unlikely that Kalnacki is going to get a fight, and it's unlikely that Luis Ortiz is going to get a fight. Jump across to the WBA, which is a complete joke. As I said, Anthony Joshua is the super champion. We've got a regular champion, which is Manuel Charr, and then we've got a top 5, which includes an interim champion in Trevor Browne, Jarrell Miller, Oquendo, Dillian Whyte, and bizarrely Joe Joyce. So I think that really you can't really take much from the WBA picture about what's going to happen in the future. They've got a regular champion who has been scheduled to fight Oquendo multiple times over the last 18 months. Whether that fight is ever going to come to fruition, I do not know. And it's the only reason Oquendo can possibly be in a top 5 when he hasn't fought for many a year. Okay, we've got Jarrell Miller there, who is going to be fighting Anthony Joshua. Okay, so that is one fight that is going to be happening early this year. So as we said, Dillian Whyte, he's going to be fighting Dominic Breazeale, so he is within the title picture. Joe Joyce, absolutely no chance of a title contention anytime soon. I just think that he's too young, and I just don't think the opportunities are going to present themselves. And anyway, I'd like to see him fight some experienced guys over the next 2 years anyway, to really build up a resume in the pro ranks. So jump across to the IBF. The number 1 ranked contender is Kubrat Pulev, someone who was scheduled to fight Anthony Joshua last year, I believe. Injury forced him to pull out, and he is being kind of pushed to the back of the pecking order. Okay, but he is the number 1 ranked with the IBF, so there is the potential for that to happen. The IBF have no number 2 rank, and then the rest of their rankings, Pacquiao, Wallin, and Kalnacki. As I said, Kalnacki, I just don't see him getting an opportunity. I think out of the Americans, he's down the rankings, okay, in terms of an opportunity. Pacquiao and Wallin, I don't need to go into that. So in the WBO, we've got a top 5 of Dillian Whyte. Again, we've spoken about him. He's high potential for a shot this year. We've got Schwartz, we've got Miller, we've got Oscar Rivas, and we've got Zhang. Now, I can't see any of those. Obviously Miller's got the shot against Anthony Joshua, but the other 3, there's absolutely no chance. So the most likely fights in the title scene 2019, we've got Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller. Okay, so that's coming up shortly. We've most likely got Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, the rematch. Then we've got Dillian Whyte versus Brazil. Speculated, not necessarily confirmed. Okay, so there are 3 big fights that are going to happen probably in the first half of this year. So, in my opinion, Dillian Whyte is most likely going to fight one of 3 guys: Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. Okay, if he can beat Brazil. You also got Pulev in the mix for the IBF. I think he's probably going to, there's a mandatory that's going to be pushed through, okay? There's very few opportunities for Luis Ortiz to get an opportunity in the next fight, potentially even the secondary fight of any of the champions. Very, very difficult. But let's actually talk about this fight that we've got right now. We've got Luis Ortiz. He's 30-1 with 26 stoppages. In my opinion, he's got a decidedly average professional career and a number of very average performances. Now, we know that he's a talented boxer. We know that he's got power. He's actually knocked out most of his opponents, and he's also outboxed most of his opponents, okay? But due to the middle-of-the-road level of opposition, you know, it means nothing. It's very hard for us to judge. Okay, and this is why I've always been hesitant to highly rank him, you know, in the last couple of years, and why I expected Wilder to deal with him fairly easily. But it's actually that fight that raised my opinion of Ortiz. You know, in defeat, Ortiz's standing in the heavyweight division, in my opinion, rose dramatically. For me, he legitimized himself as a credible challenger because of that performance. You know, he showed skill, he showed timing, you know, he showed power. He also showed recovery, you know. And it's what he contributed to that fight that created one of the best heavyweight fighters in recent years, and arguably one of the best heavyweight title fights, you know, of the last couple of years. Now, on the other side from him, we've got Christian Hammer. You know, he's 24-5 with 12 stoppages. Now, Hammer is average in every possible way. Average ability, average skill, average power, average movement. He's fought average opposition, and he's lost to people he should have beaten, and he's beaten people he wasn't expected to beat. You know, he is European level and not much more. You know, we saw some years ago when he fought Tyson Fury. You know, Tyson Fury played with him like a cat and a ball of string. You know, it was Tyson's coming out fight, and the fight where the world really started to take Fury seriously, okay? And it exposed Hammer in a real way that any skilled boxer will be able to take advantage of, okay? And here in Ortiz, we've got a skilled boxer, so I completely expect him to outbox Hammer and stop him very decidedly in 4 rounds, okay? So that's my prediction. So because of this, really there's little to gain, you know, and even less merit from taking this fight. But maybe this shows that there are few options for Ortiz at this stage in his career. And maybe it shows that Ortiz has been truly overlooked and ducked. Now, this video is never about whether Ortiz can beat Hammer, because of course he can. You know, it's a done deal, effectively. Really, it's about what's next. And as I said at the top of the show, Ortiz is in the mix, but only just. Because there's so many fights and people in contention for these fights, and the fact that we only have 2 champions reduces these opportunities. So, you know, in my opinion, this is what I think is going to happen. You know, in my opinion, I think if Wilder beats Fury, then he probably fights Dillian Whyte or Brazil in his next fight before possibly unification with Anthony Joshua. If Tyson Fury wins, okay, I don't think he'll fight Anthony Joshua. I think we could have a trilogy with Deontay Wilder, which I think would be great, okay? Or Fury then goes on to fight Dillian Whyte or Brazil, okay? So we see a pattern of pitch here. You know, we're going to see Fury versus Wilder. We could see that again, and we could see them fight Whyte Brazil before we get to see AJ, okay? Now, in terms of AJ, you know, in all probability, he could fight Dillian Whyte in his next fight. Now, if he doesn't fight Dillian Whyte in the next fight, I would wholeheartedly expect, and this is after Jarrell Miller, and this is on the basis that he beats Jarrell Miller, you know, I would expect him to fight Dillian Whyte, and that's if Dillian Whyte isn't scheduled to fight Fury or Wilder. Okay. Now, if he is scheduled to fight Fury or Wilder, I would wholeheartedly expect Anthony Joshua to fight Kubrat Pulev. I mean, I think that fight is probably a done deal. We'll see it. It's going to be another unexciting Anthony Joshua fight. It's definitely not a Wembley fight. And then, then there's the potential for Wilder in the future. So really, we've kind of gone over this. It's very, very difficult to see Ortiz in the picture. For years he was being built up as a destroyer in the heavyweight division. Lots of people were ranking him as their number one for years, and he was the best heavyweight in the division, and he wasn't getting those fights. Now he's had one fight against Deontay Wilder where he performed pretty good. He lost and he was stopped, but he performed well. It was an exciting fight. If anything, I would have liked to have seen a rematch there, if we hadn't have seen the Wilder-Fury fight, okay? So the question is, can Ortiz get a title shot? At 39-40, whatever he might be, is there enough time? Has he got enough left in the tank? Will we see him get this? Does he have to take these terrible fights? Is he taking these fights just for paydays? That could be the case. I'd like to see Ortiz in the mix, but I just don't know whether he's in it. Let me know in the comment section below whether you think that Ortiz is still in the picture, whether he's in the mix, whether he's going to get a title shot, and who you think it could be against. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you soon.